Okay, this is the second lesson in our first unit. It's graphing statistical data. Today what we're going to do is we're going to go over different types of graphs that you can use in probability and statistics. We'll talk about any issues that you guys have had with graphs in the past where you've run into them. Then I'm going to show you how to graph a histogram on a Google Sheet. So on our second slide, there's a warm-up activity that we can go through. You can scan the QR code if you have a mobile phone, mobile device, and you can get there that way and participate with it. Or you can click on the link that's right here. So the QR code's here. The link's right here. You can click on that code, or you could copy and paste it into an internet browser, and that'll bring you to the Padlet. I'll show you that here in a second. Now, once you've made it to the Padlet, you can see right here I've written something for you to discuss. It says, give one example of a graph that you've seen outside of school and how it was used to display data. Make sure that you include your name on this Padlet. Okay, and we'll get a bunch of responses from you, and then we'll go through those responses, we'll talk about it, and then we'll move on with the rest of the activity. Now that we've gone through all your responses, we're going to move on with this activity, and what I've done here in the third slide is I've actually embedded a video for different types of graphs that you might encounter in probability and statistics. It's actually not written for probability and statistics, but it's actually a pretty good overview. It's written by a science teacher. But he has a bunch of different types of graphs that we will actually use in here and how to generate them. It's about a 10-minute long video. We're not going to play it right now. But it's a good video that you could watch on your own time, as much or as little as you want, in order to learn to differentiate between different types of graphs, or maybe you have a question or two about a particular type of graph that you might be able to get answered in this video. If you have difficulty with some of the material, if you have questions, that would be a great thing to throw back to me with questions in class about misconceptions that you have, even if you've watched the video a few times. There might be a few things that you don't understand about these different types of graphs. So for today's activity, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on some statistics that are pretty easy to gather. What we're focused on today is it's actually LeBron James' 2016 playoff season when the Cavaliers won the NBA championship over the Golden State Warriors. But we're going to focus on the entire playoff run that LeBron had, and specifically the number of points that he scored in each one of the games. That's pretty easy data for us to get. All I did was I typed in LeBron James in the search engine, and then I clicked on the ESPN LeBron James link, and this is where this brought me. So you can see LeBron right there. He's smiling because he's champion of the world right now. And if I scroll down, you can see the game log. Now, these are games against Golden State. This is the last 5 games. We're going to go a little further than that. So I'm going to click the complete game log here. And then as it loads up, you can see all the games, all the 7 games they played against the Golden State Warriors, the series before that against the Toronto Raptors and the Atlanta Hawks and the Detroit Pistons. And you can see right there in that window is pretty much all the games that he played in the playoffs. There's 21 games that he played in the playoffs. And there's a bunch of different statistics that we could focus on, but what we're actually going to focus on is the number of points that he scored in each one of those games. We're going to generate a histogram with these number of points. So we're going to start with the Pistons series, and we'll call this Game 1. This will be Game 2, 3, 4, and so forth, and this is points up here. Okay, and this would be the 21st game, the last game, the game where they beat the Golden State Warriors 93-89 to win the NBA championship. Okay, and we're going to accumulate all of these number of points that he scored in each individual game, and what we're going to do is we're going to put them into a spreadsheet. As it so happens, I put them into a spreadsheet on this slide of these Google slides. And we're going to take this spreadsheet, this data right here. We're actually going to take the points data, not the games data. We're going to take the points data down below, and we're going to plug that into a Google Sheet. So now what we need to do in order to do that is we actually have to go to Google Sheets and create a new Google Sheet, which I'm going to show you now. So now as I clicked over to Google Sheets, I added each one of LeBron James's individual point totals right here in the sheet in column A. Started with 1A and just straight down entered all this data right here. So like 22, 27, 20. You can see right here, 22, 27, 20. And I went straight down to the 41, 41, and then the 27 in the final game of the playoffs, which you can see right over here. Okay, so this is the first step that you're going to take is you're going to open a brand new Google Sheet, and then you're going to just enter the data straight down as you see it. So now once all that information has been entered into your Google Sheet, we're going to click on this icon right here, which looks like a little bar graph or histogram right here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to click on that. It says Insert Chart. We're going to click on that. Now it says Recommendations. There's a bunch of things. Oh, look at that. That says histogram on it. Okay, and then there's chart types. And inside that chart type, you can see there's a whole bunch of different types of charts, graphs, that we might actually be able to make with this. Okay, some customization, which I've actually never done, but we'll go into chart types and we'll scroll all the way down here and we get to this histogram chart. When I click on that, that's actually the histogram that it's going to actually put in. And I'm going to hit Insert. And then right now it just inserts it right here. Okay, and now I can look at it, view mode, but what I want to do is I want to edit it a little bit. So now that it's inserted, I want to edit it and so I can make some meaning out of this histogram, what this means. Okay, so I'm going to go into Advanced Edit, and then the title of the chart, I'll put LeBron James 2016 playoffs. And then I'm going to scroll down. And then the horizontal axis, this is the horizontal axis here, these numbers 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and 45, well, that actually corresponds to the number of points. So points scored, okay, and then if I switch the axis to the left axis right here, and you can see the points scored updated right there, this left vertical axis right here, well, this is 0, 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10 times. So this is like the frequency, the number of times it occurred. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to title this as frequency. Okay, and then I'm going to update it, and you can see that now it says Lemon James. So we might want to change that. Okay, so we're going to, I don't know if that was autocorrect or something that I did, but it's definitely not Lemon James. LeBron. Nope. It might have been autocorrect. I'm going to update that. Now it's LeBron James 2016 playoffs, and the frequency and the number of points scored. Okay, and now we're going to make meaning of this data. Okay, and you can see in this data set that he scored one time between 15 and 20 points, and then from 20 to 25 he did that 10 times. So now we can start making some meaning out of this data. We could scale these however we would like, and we'll talk about that as we move forward in the course. Okay, but this is a pretty good representation of the data. Okay, and you can see that right in this area is where he's scoring the most frequently. And he had a couple outlier games out here where he scored more. Okay, and we don't actually know if those are outliers yet. We'd have to do a test on that, and we can do that later on. Now, once we've completed this histogram on this Google Sheet, you feel pretty comfortable with it, what we're going to do is we're going to move on away from the activity, and I'm going to give you an exit slip now, where what I did is I went to weather.com, and I found the average temperature in Wallingford, the average high temperature in every month. And then this is all that data in a little table right here, as you can see. And then what I want you to do is I want you to take this data and I want you to enter into a Google Sheet, and I want you to create your own histogram with that. Once you've done that, I want you to email me a screenshot of that data so I can see that you've done it. This is actually the source of that data. It's the monthly forecast for Wallingford, Connecticut. Which you can see right here, and then if I click on this, in January the average high was 35, February was 37, March 46, and you can see all the way into July, which is 83, but it's July right now, and it's definitely warmer than that. And once you've completed the exit slip, you're going to have the opportunity to apply some of this knowledge to extensions. So I've given you a couple extension problems that you can do on your own. You can submit the work back to me through email. You can create a Google Doc and share it with me, or a Google Sheet and share it with me, or you can send me screenshots of either of those for some additional credit, okay, as we move forward with the course. Hopefully that helps. You should be able to view this video as many times as is necessary for you to understand how to create that histogram with a Google Sheet. Let me know if you have any questions.